Good.
So I don't need that for tonight's meeting, though. I thought I'd lost this pen. And I didn't notice. I'm gonna pass it down there, kid.
If you would like, one of your first duties, you can sign a stack of bills here. Usually what we do is we look here, see this amount, say, does it match this amount? Yes, it does, it should. And then if you want to dig in a little deeper, you can read some of the things that money was spent for. And then you can actually look at
In the
the.
library.
It was there.
Yeah, the page usually boils down to what it is.
It matches
And
that.
I've been fighting this.
And then I
Said
signed.
I put her down
Yeah,
there.
I think Josh became the alternate.
We got another.
Do I sign just underneath
They
where
left
we're
us
shy?
to-
Just sign
Yeah.
second.
Flew home, got off the plane, it was 22.
Second. Okay, got it.
Journal vouchers, things like transfers from one fund.
Okay,
Well,
I'd like to call to order the Governance Strategy and City Operations Committee. And I guess we'll have a roll call.
Counselor Armstrong?
Here.
Mayor Reed?
Present.
Counselor Kelly?
Here.
Counselor Gibbs?
Here.
Counselor Ensel?
here,
Counselor Moore?
here.
Counselor McFarland?
All right, so I'd like to take this opportunity to offer any members of the public to come forward and address the committee concerning agenda items. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to number 2, reports from department representatives and discussion with counselor. So the first is city clerk received a veto email from the mayor within 5 business days per C311 regarding resolution brought forward by Councilor Dowdle and approved at a regular meeting of the Common Council held Thursday, December 20th, 2018 regarding the Webb Island footbridge. Any comments?
I would just like to say that during the mayor's veto, he indicated a potential conflict of interest that I had, stated and recused myself from discussions after speaking with a number of people. I was assured that no conflict of interest existed.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Is this item going to be moved directly to tonight's agenda?
Well, and usually there are items that are moved, and very frankly, I don't believe this, is it?
These are just
It's just a
reports. I think
report.
the agenda
Yeah.
items are 3.
They're down on 3.
Number 3.
Thank you. All right, so then another report from the city clerk's office of all monies received during the month of December 2018 and the total amount of $866.91. The clerk is not feeling well, and so we cannot question her, but are there any questions that we could forward to her? Okay, seeing none, going on to item 3, items to be brought forward from the departments to be approved by committee and recommended to the council. As you can see, there are 4. 1, Clinton County Legislature selects Rodney Brown to serve a 2-year term on the Plattsburgh Parking Advisory Committee to begin on January 1st, 2019, and expiring December 31st, 2020. And I'll read 2 as well, since they're the same kind of item. The Governance Strategy and City Operations Committee of the Common Council selects Ethan Vinson to serve a 2-year term on the Plattsburgh Parking Advisory Committee to begin on January 1st, 2019, and expiring in December 31st, 2020. And thank you, Ethan, for your willingness to participate on this committee. I know that you came highly recommended, and you've been doing a lot of studying yourself on the parking project. Any comments?
And this would fill a slot for an intergovernmental person and a city downtown resident.
Downtown resident, that's right.
And I think that staffs you up enough to get your committee going at this point.
Yeah, that brings us to 8, so we'll have the first meeting, assuming we can get 7 people out of the 8 in a room within the next 2 weeks.
Okay, and Matt and I did discuss the suggestion that was put forth by Robert Poland, and we will follow up on that, and hopefully that person will be in place as well.
I believe after that, the only remaining members to be selected are the 2 downtown business owners, one of which I spoke to today, and I'm prepared to recommend. I'll send you all an email. The other one was there.
Okay,
Matt, you do have the contact information for the 2 individuals put forward by the infrastructure committee?
Yeah, for
Dave Merkel and...
Dave Markle and, drawing a blank at the moment.
That's all right. Okay, well, you have
But
it.
yes, I do, yes.
okay. Anything else?
So I have a question.
Yep.
Why was Rodney Brown selected? It says it was selected, but Clinton County legislators select Rodney. Why him in
The
particular?
county had asked us, given that they're one of the largest users of parking downtown, if there could be an intergovernmental representative. And if I recall from the council resolution to enable that, we asked the county chairperson of the legislature to name that person, and he named Rodney Brown, if I recall correctly.
Do you, just, not that it matters, but was that a choice of the legislature as a body, or was it just Mr. Bingle's?
Actually, I don't know. We just deferred that to them.
Yeah, it was, the resolution read that it was a selection of the Clinton County Legislature. Mayor Reed asked Chairman McManus for an official recommendation, and that was the name he put forward.
I'm, not that it matters, just curiosity.
Is he still the Clinton County Planning Director?
I think he is, yeah. I believe you've been working with him a little bit on parking issues already, haven't you?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, so, and he's attended several DRI meetings as well, so.
Further questions? Number 3, request that the mayor is authorized to sign professional services agreement with Architectural and Design Engineering Associates, PC, for various engineering and survey services. The agreement requires a $2,000 retainer with future invoices based on time and materials at the hourly rate attached to the agreement. Discussion?
Well, I have some questions.
Yeah.
I read the paperwork that you submitted with this, Mayor Reed, and it has to do with the annexment, correct? So recently in the Press Republican, the article that was published about the possible moratorium. How is this work that you anticipate to pay this group? How is this going to be impacted by this moratorium? And if it's not impacted, when will their work begin?
You might probably be in the best position to answer that.
For purposes of pursuing the annexation petition, I would say it would not be impacted by the moratorium. The purpose of the annexation is to bring the property into the city, and if it's successful, then it's no longer in the town and no longer subject to their moratorium. So that's the short answer.
Right.
As far as their work, the purpose of their work is to assist us with the on-the-ground analysis and then ultimately the public hearing that's going to be necessitated through the annexation process. So there's some legwork that's required, surveying, engineering work.
So that's what they'll be doing, surveying, engineering?
Assist and public presentation assistance
Okay.
as far as master planning and things of that nature.
Okay, and when will that begin?
We've had the initial conversations. This is to formalize that contract because they were previously doing work for the PMLD for some site plan review, and a lot of that work's going to be helpful, and it's going to serve as a jumping off point for the next stage, which is the annexation work.
Okay.
I guess if they're gonna be out surveying the piece of land that we're talking about annexing, do they
That we
need permission?
purchased.
It's our property.
We purchased.
And not to get into it, but under the general obligations law, you actually, surveyor has access to others' property regardless, but this is our property.
Thank you.
How are we budgeting for this expense?
be the appropriate budget for that MLD for now?
It's on the MLD project, to be in the MLD
Primarily.
2019 budget.
Property outside of it will be as well.
Right, there is outside property as well.
All the acreage up there, so there's a lot of acres that are not up there.
You're saying some of this is going to be charged from the general fund or other funds, and you already know, give me a copy of the agreement. I'm not idea what-
I'm not involved in this, this is,
You either.
this is,
Don't know any details about it.
Is that the general fund?
So it sounds like it'd be a mix of general fund and MLD budget, depending on where the surveying is.
Okay, thank you.
But is there currently money in the 2019 budget?
Well, we have the 2019 budget yet.
But from what we have developed, let's say.
Ask us your projection for the amount that we expect to spend here, so we can figure out how to budget it in an MLD and in the general fund. Looks like
Further-
we need some research.
What is your inclination about this, council?
We need a figure. That's my inclination.
Would you like to request that we not move this forward until such time as those figures are presented to us?
Well, will tomorrow's meeting put this in better light? Nope.
Just have a number tonight or tomorrow morning.
It's essentially a time and materials type contract, so it's the initial retainer of $2,000 is the down payment, but it'll be billed at an hourly rate depending on how much service is required. So to say, can't give you a firm figure at this point because.
Do we have an idea what the hourly rate might be?
And how much time it'll take?
It's back of the attachment.
Is this a necessary precondition for your petition?
Yes.
So if we delay this, we will also be delaying the petition to the town of
Annexation.
Plattsburgh for annexation.
Then how do we plan for the monetary obligations for this? I'm all for it, but how do we plan for the monetary obligation when it seems that no one really has a clear idea, aside from the 2,000? So that's all I'm looking for. How do we do it?
Well, it would seem to be that we would have to allocate between what's going to remain as city property versus MLD property, and give an estimate of what the projected cost is going to be, and budget the portion that would relate to the city in the corporation council budget for 2019, and an MLD for the MLD portion for 2019. We need to have an expectation of what the number's going to be, and then figure out a way to allocate it based on the land.
Okay.
And the general cost from the general fund perspective would probably then fall under legal services because this is part of the annexation process.
We do have a healthy budget for that.
Could we,
We do.
Could we do it under the stipulation
with a limit?
that this, what we're voting on tonight is a $2,000 retainer, but by tomorrow afternoon, we expect to have
What is this?
a better
Projection.
estimate for what the total cost is gonna be.
Well, we
Would that
are.
be a fair thing to ask for?
I mean, this
Sorry, I
contract
didn't mean
itself
to
has a
interrupt
cancellation, a 7-day cancellation clause, so it's basically as needed.
Well, I'm just looking at the language, requires 2,000 retainer with future invoices. That means it comes together. That's
But
what that
there's
means.
a 7-day termination clause, so if we don't need the service, we can terminate it. It's not a
So
term contract, that it's a year contract, it's as needed, as requested.
Could we also maybe put a cap on it? Would that be something that the council would be more comfortable with as far as the $200 or $2,000 retainer and then a cap?
subject to amendment perhaps even,
Mm.
as the figures become clearer.
Is that something you would be agreeable to, Mike, or from a budgetary standpoint?
A cap, I think it's too early to talk about a cap because we don't really know what the work is gonna be. You know, we'd just be making up an artificial figure, so. What I
That could be
would,
amended.
But we have
Yeah,
a
it
budget
could
and
be.
we can do it based on what we
And
project.
that would also give Dean, that could move along the,
Right.
Well, could I just say that I believe we have to complete this before we can continue on with the annexation. So it really, whatever it costs, we need to proceed with it. I don't think it's gonna cost that much. It'll cost enough, but we need to proceed with it or the annexation comes to a halt. I guess we've all agreed to move forward on that, so I think we should.
Good point.
I agree, Jerry.
Okay. So do we have consensus then? Okay. 4, request from the city chamberlain to approve the final budget adjustment transfers for the 2018 fiscal year as noted in the submitted detailed entry.
Which is up on the screen.
Yes. So any conversation you want to have at this point regarding the chamberlain's figures?
Andrew, can
Anything
maybe
you want to
hit
walk
that
us
light,
through it?
please?
Want to give us the highlights? You want us to?
All of 8 or 900 accounts? You wanna go?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Mike,
Mike,
Mike, could you hit one of the lights? Thank you.
Oh, the other one. The other one.
It starts with the general fund and revenues, and I think by row 660, you're through all of the expenditures, and you're seeing the net amount of the general fund.
Does there anybody want to scroll through this with us? Thank you.
I should probably scroll it.
So you're referring to line over there. I see line 44 is the last
Okay,
line.
44 is on the left, and the column way on the right is the budget adjustment we're going to do to selected accounts. If you roll all the way down to row 600 and something, I think it's 660 or 640.
Hang on to your hats.
Oh,
Yep.
no.
No, she only needs to go.
You said 660.
Yeah.
There you go. All the budget adjustments in the column, what is it? Not that one, the next one back. What is that column?
J.
J. Column J, all the way down to that row, you see, they all net to a negative 150. I can't read it.
1,403.
151,403. That's the net amount that we have to take out of the general fund beginning unassigned fund balance to balance the budget for 2018 for all of the changes that have taken place in the budget since the beginning of the year. There's additions in there like the additional funding that we have to send to the rec complex of 226,000. There's additional funding I have to put in there for accruing the added cost for the fire settlement that's expected for the 2012 and 13 raise years that were awarded in the arbitration. 118,000 of that is additional payroll, and 57,000 is additional interest. I think if you roll up to, I think it's account 1193, which you'll see in the second column.
How far?
1193 account, so you're on 400 and something right now. There we go. Oops.
Here we go. This one?
Yes, right here. Had to put another 215,000 on that budget line because it was already 40,000 there for judgments and awards this year for real property settlements and grievances. The difference is the additional cost for the fire contract that has to be recognized for the 2018 payroll year, as well as the interest that was due from May 11th, 2017 forward at 9%. So the total accrual we have in there at this point is in the neighborhood of $890,000, just for those 2 years. Roll down, let's see. Okay, down a little bit further, stop at the fire department. Okay, right here. If you highlight this whole column, just go there and then highlight this all the way down. Yeah, there you go. Down, down, down. Okay, stop. You see that the fire department budget's over $465,371. So that's part of the budget adjustments as well. Reason for that is because of the retroactive raises that were just paid. Got them paid out by 2018, December 31st. The raises themselves are $435,000, and then you have additional costs in there for the payroll that just took place for 8/10 of the pay period, which is 8 days out of 10,
Yeah.
because the pay period ended on Wednesday, which was January 2nd, and January 1st they don't count. That pay period's in there as well for additional budgeting, $36,000 worth of overtime in just a 2-week period. It's a very, very high amount, so their budget has a huge impact on what we're doing with the adjustments for the end of 2018. Certainly not anticipated at the beginning of the year. So you go up and down all these accounts, and that's what you gotta look for. It's what's over, what's under, where you can get coverage for it for revenue items that came in above, expense items that came in below. The net difference is that $153,000 figure at the bottom on that row 660. Hope you go back down to that again.
153?
Right there. 151,403.
Yeah.
The red figure. And then the red complex, if you roll down further, you see I've adjusted some revenue items to the amounts that they logically have raised this year. Go down further, you'll see here's the revenue that we had to throw in from the general fund. That's the additional item. You go back up to the end of the general fund, go a little more. Oh, right there.
226.
226, 389. See how this number up here corresponds to that one down there. That one's an expense item. This one down here, I should roll it for you actually, is a revenue item. If you roll down further to the bottom line for rec complex, keep going. We balanced it at 0. We threw some more into their healthcare. I threw more into healthcare across the board so that we could do the run out through the end of January, just to make sure that we have enough. Because we're usually criticized each year by our auditors for not having enough budget in employee benefits because the healthcare run out usually catches us in January. Cold and flu season, a lot of people going to the doctors, blah, blah, blah. So there's not many adjustments beyond this, none in the parking, some in the water for healthcare, and some in the sewer for healthcare. Majority of it is up in the general fund where we have to shore up those numbers because we had so many additional expenses to what we budgeted from the beginning of the year. I don't know how many rows it totally covers here. Let's go all the way to the bottom. I think you're there, right? 1,660 rows. Just a small schedule.
Can you summarize where you feel the general fund balance will go from the beginning of 2018 to the end of 2018, closing the year off?
Well, we started with 207,000 in the unassigned available fund balance, and this takes 150,000 out of that. Roughly, I think we could close the year with, now if you roll back up to that row 660, or whatever it was, 640.
660.
Tentative numbers right now. Yico. Yico. Oh, I think you're past. Oh, here we go. Tentative numbers are 586,000, so we're good right now. Well, we have some run out for healthcare and a few other things to look at. I think it's not going to be that good. Might be probably half that. So we'll start at 207, take 150 out, and maybe put back 250. So we'll be in the neighborhood of 300,000 to 400,000 unassigned. And that's with throwing a lot of bad news in these numbers. Huge amount of fire costs. Their budget, like I said, alone is over $450,000 over budget.
What is, in the majority of that over budget is overtime, Richard?
Go back up. You can see it line by line. Oh. Right there. Go back up to whatever that line is, yes, the 148,000 is what we have to budget for payroll, 204,000 more for overtime. You can see the overtime is at $430,000. And of course, the 204 is part of what was paid for the settlement, as well as additional overtime for this past week at $36,000 for 2 weeks. Then you get temporary payroll. You can just see whichever ones are positive are net effect additional costs, like this one. These are helping.
What's the additional 62,000 for contracted services?
I have to look it up.
You don't have this memorized.
No.
I'm shocked.
Not all of it, some of it.
Give you a pass, Rich.
I would say most of that is legal fees. Nope, that's not true.
No, because there's fees for
Legal fees
service.
are on 4440, so we're under on legal fees. We've done good on that this year. We've done really good. That I don't know what happened. I'm not sure if it's repairs, equipment purchases or whatever. It shouldn't be equipment because that would be up in the capital lines, 2,400 to 3,000. I have to look it up for you, Peter.
In every section of the budget where contract services exists, that 4430, is there a record of how that money is spent?
Sure.
You must have a record of that.
Detail, yeah.
Because I was looking at the budget.
I can bore you to death with details.
I like the boredom.
I can inundate you with details. It'll show you every expenditure.
Because that was one of the things that I was looking at when Mayor Reed shared the budget, and I went through and looked at where the money is going, where it's being spent, and I see contract services everywhere in the budget, and I wondered how that's accounted for. So when we meet tomorrow, we can have a more lengthy discussion about that, maybe.
Well, if you want to pull up details, if I can use that tomorrow to access Munis, I can pull up reports and show you every detail you need to see. That's how it's spent. Contract services is basically vendors who are paying for services or materials too. It's kind of a dumping ground because there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. It's not specifically named in another account somewhere, but generally it's for services.
Services that can't be done by
By our own
by the
personnel.
department
Yep.
on its own.
That's right.
Right, okay.
Such as in DPW, you've got line striping, crack sealing, those kind of things that we don't do, but we contract out, that type of stuff. I would assume that a lot of this is repairs to fire trucks.
Yeah, make this lines.
But I'd have to look, that's a big number to be over 62.
Well, it's not just there, it's in a lot of areas.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Where is the largest budget variance in the entire budget? I see here, it's for the fire department, it's
The fire department is the biggest
4,000.
department variance, 400,000, but, you know, the one line item that we have to send $226,000 to the rec complex, that's another big one. The $218,000 in awards and judgments, another big one. So you can just go down the list here and take a look at the numbers and you see where the big hitters are. You go back up to the revenue, at the very top, you see that we performed pretty well on some of the revenue items.
So essentially though, between rec complex and fire, we're looking at about $660,000 over budget.
Probably 800. Okay.
Which represents what, 0.8%?
800,000 against 11 million as far as the tax levy, it's about 8%, 7.5%.
I'm sure there'll be quite a bit more discussion. If you want to wrap up, we can then have our hearing.
Yes, we'll interrupt the meeting.
Okay, let's interrupt the meeting momentarily to conduct a public hearing for today, January 3rd, 2019, at 5 p.m. the Common Council Chambers. The City of Plattsburgh is holding a public hearing to hear public comment on a local law authorizing the Common Council to adopt the 2019 tax levy in excess of the limit established by New York State General Municipal Law, Section 3-C. If you'd like to make comments, please come up and sign up and address the council. And of course, you don't know whether or what that tax rate will be for deliberating, but this is required by law to allow you that flexibility in cases necessary to receive the tax credit. So please, any public would please like to come and address the council on this, please come forward. Anybody? One more time, anybody? So we'll close the public hearing and please continue.
Sure. Okay, so what is your desire regarding continuing the discussion about 3-4? Do we want to continue our discussion? Do we want to study it then individually and bring our questions to the budget meeting tomorrow?
I think that your latter suggestion would be the
Okay.
best way. That's my
Consensus?
personal opinion.
I
All
agree.
right, all right. So then I just need a motion to bring 3-1 through 4 to the agenda. So moved
Have to
by,
be, well, it'd have to be a member of
It's
the
actually
committee.
only us.
It
has to be the committee, that's right. Okay. Take it away. Second? Okay, we just need a roll call.
I'm sorry, I didn't get the first.
First, second.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Mayor Reed?
Yes.
Okay, so then moving to old business, anybody would like to bring up issues that we've
Actually-
covered before?
Do we need a motion to move?
You just did.
Oh,
We just
that's
did
what
that.
did.
Deja vu all over again.
Groundhog Day.
Any old business? I would just like to inquire, if no one has anything immediately, how things are going with regard to investigating new ways to finance our, to deal with the existing Prime Link contract.
We'll defer to the chairman of that committee, Councilor
Yeah, we need
Kelly,
another
and we'll need
member.
one more member, as a
Mhm.
matter of fact, as well. Some one
So
of
maybe
has
if
an
you
interest
wouldn't
in it.
mind, sorry, for the benefit of the new members, just describing what we've been going through regarding this.
Yes. The Prime Link contract requires that we pay a per item fee. And this year, we budgeted those costs across each department. So each individual department saw a tremendous increase in their telephone costs. Overall in the city, I don't think it changed the bottom line that much, but each individual department absorbs those costs. So.
Do you mind my interjecting? But in some cases, there was a huge increase, and
Oh,
I'll just speak
yes.
for the library.
In the magnitude of
Yes.
200% or
Yeah.
170%, yes, absolutely. So the objective then is to find a cheaper way to do telecommunications and computing and internet and those sorts of things. So we established a committee and we met a couple times. We met with an outside consultant once who offered to do a network survey for us to see if we're ready for some kind of change in operations. And I haven't actually heard the results of that survey yet, but we felt that was an important part of it. And going forward, we're going to look for just different methodologies to lower the cost of our telecommunications. So,
I just have a
As well as
question.
internet, too.
Yeah,
yes.
I have a question, though. In your judgment, as the chairperson of the Finance Committee, if we were to find a resolution for this matter sooner rather than later, what kind of impact on I keep saying that, 2019 budget can you anticipate?
Well, depending on, the vendor and the type of technology we choose, we could save tremendous amounts of money. We think that, one example, not the only one, but one example is to move our computing operations to the cloud, where we no longer have to deal with servers and network jacks and cables and those sorts of things that we have in-house now. So that's a promising way to go. And I think some of our employees are eager to try it, as a matter of fact, and may already be experimenting with it.
Had there been any consideration for changes just departmentally rather than throughout the whole city?
I'd like to see, we're going to send out an RFP.
Oh, that was one of the objectives you had.
Yes, we're going to send out an RFP to see if we can find some vendors interested in helping us make that transition, whatever it happens to be.
Do you have a timeline for the RFP at all, Mike? Or?
No, we'd like to do it soon. Sooner rather than later.
So, and I think we can probably expedite this if we get another committee member to work with you. And so
Yes.
I would hope that we'd all be thinking about who would be best equipped and the most knowledgeable person to help you out.
That'd be wonderful. I'd love to have the assistance of one of you.
It won't be me.
Okay.
What kind of cost reduction do you anticipate could take place?
Well, you're talking about things like Microsoft licensing and, the purchase of servers and replacing equipment. I don't think it'd be too far-fetched to say there could be a 50% reduction in those overall costs.
Out of a budget of what, though? I don't think I have that at my
I
fingertips.
don't have that number at my
Yeah.
fingertips, but it's large.
Yeah. Okay.
Definitely 6 figures.
So hopefully we can get some help and move that forward. I know we balance a lot of projects, but that seems like a really good one to move
I think one
quickly on.
smart way to do that, and I'd like to see it happen, is to have one or two departments volunteer to go with this new methodology, whatever it turns out to be, and let them pilot it for the rest of the city, and then continue to roll it out department by department.
Okay.
I think it's a good idea.
And I think it's also important to enlist the assistance of our existing IT team. We have 2 people on staff currently, and to get them to buy in and participate and be active members of that transition.
Have they been involved in the discussions at all?
They have.
Okay.
And it's also very clear that we will need IT expertise. We will need those 2 individuals,
Yes.
regardless of what system we move to, because there's always trouble tickets and all that
Troubleshooting.
kind of stuff.
Their jobs won't go away, they will change. Correct.
Well, part of our primary contract is IT services.
Correct.
Okay, further discussion on that item. Anything else under old business? And then to new business, any new business? We just have our meetings tomorrow. It's a good time to announce to the public that we're having meetings about DRI tomorrow. And a budget session beginning at 12, correct?
Yes.
Right.
They're all open to the public.
All open to the public. Good point to make. Okay. So, a motion to adjourn,
Someone?
seconded?
Council Armstrong?
Yes.
Mayor Reed?
Yes. We've adjourned our first meeting of the governance committee this year, and I'd like to begin our organizational meeting for the Common Council. All present, myself, Councilor Armstrong, Councilor Kelly, welcome Councilor Gibbs, Councilor Ansel, Councilor McFarland, welcome Councilor Moore. This time, the chair will entertain nominations from the floor for the position of Mayor Pro Tem.
I'd like
Recognize
to
Councilor
nominate
Moore.
Michael Kelly.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Councilor Ansel. Discussion? Roll call.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
Yes.
This time, the chair will entertain nominations from the floor for the position of clerk of the Common Council. Councillor Kelly?
I'd like to nominate Elizabeth Gibbs for that position.
What?
I guess you didn't check with her, Mike.
No, I didn't, but I think she'd be a good candidate. I've noticed a lot of attention to detail on her part.
I don't think the workload is particularly onerous from that, if it
Extensive.
comforts you at all.
You just have to keep track of who's coming to the meeting.
You don't have to take minutes.
You don't have to.
See, this is what happens when you do good work. You get
Yes.
more good work.
Yes, you do.
Thank you.
You're certainly worthy of.
Did we get a
Do I have a
second?
second?
I'll second that.
Councillor McFarland, any further discussion? Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs?
Sure.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
Yes.
Establishment and composition of council department liaison committees. Whereas the common council desires to establish a standing committee structure to improve communication, cooperation, efficiency, and productivity between and amongst related departments, the common council and mayor's office. And whereas the purpose of the standing committees is to refocus the efforts of the common council on related departments and policies and to reshape the formal work sessions or informational sessions. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor as a member and presiding officer of the common council shall appoint one council member as committee chair and one other council member as a committee member for each committee, and the respective committee chair shall preside over the committee meetings and shall invite the mayor, who shall also be a committee member, and relevant department heads, city employees, and in their discretion other interested parties who shall not be committee members. And be it further resolved that the common council hereby establishes the following standing committees for the 2019 calendar year with the following council members as appointed by the mayor and for the following schedule. Governance, strategy, and city operations.
I appoint Councillor Armstrong as chair and Councillor McFarland as second. Well, do we on what for what the committee does? I don't think so, do you?
You should have a motion to waive that portion of the reading and just announce the respective chairs and members.
I make a motion to waive the reading and just announce the council members.
So, second, sorry.
Second by Councillor Armstrong, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. City Infrastructure, Chair, Councillor Moore, Member, Councillor Gibbs. Finance and Budget, Chair, Councillor Kelly, Member, Councillor Moore. Public Safety, Chair, Councillor Gibbs, Member, Councillor Ensel. Public Library, Chair, Councillor Ensel, Member, Councillor Armstrong. MLD, Chair, Councillor McFarland, and Member, Councillor Kelly.
Wait a minute. Who did you say for president?
For which?
For MLD board?
Me.
Okay.
Councillor McFarland, Councillor Kelly.
Okay.
And be it further resolved that each committee shall be presided over by a chair as identified above, who shall hold committee meetings for the above scheduled to discuss and review amongst other items respective initiatives in their departments, future direction, travel requests, goals, strategies, and budgeting concern and proposed resolutions and local law. And be it further resolved that all petitions, communications, budget adjustments, reports, resolutions, motions, etc. requiring
Make a
action.
motion to waive the reading and move forward.
Moved by Councillor Ansel, second by Councillor McFarland. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Do you have a motion for the resolution in general? Or you did that as well? Okay. Discussion. I want to add one more piece of information for discussion. A number of you had suggested that you also have informal meetings with the various department heads in the week before your committee meetings. And I'd like to do whatever I can to facilitate those conversations as well and work with your schedule. So you want a kind of a 2-3 on 1 or 2 or 3, whatever departments report. You have that chance to have an informal meeting as well before the main public meeting each week as well.
So we, how do we go about doing that? We email you and ask for permission? Is that how
Or
that
work
works?
with Beth to coordinate those meetings.
Or Beth?
Yeah.
Is that what you said? Okay.
We can have a standing time, but I doubt it would work for everybody. Somebody suggested if we could all meet on Tuesday at the same time and have those pre-meetings. So if you're governance meeting was on Thursday, you'd have a pre-meeting on Tuesday.
Oh, I see.
Let's say 5 o'clock or whatever works out, but I doubt that everybody's gonna be able to make all those informal sessions that easily. So we could target a rough time and then be flexible for when that actually is.
Okay.
Knowing that the department heads, they really work an 8 to 4 kind of schedule, so we are asking them to stay a little bit later. So we'll also try to accommodate their schedules if we can too. We'll figure that out if you like. I don't think it needs to be part of the resolution, just something we'll informally try to work out so you can have those point of contacts.
I think that's a great idea.
Further discussion, please? Seeing none, roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
Yes.
This time, the chair recognizes that Dean Schneller is serving the 3rd year of his 4-year appointment as Corporation Counsel for the period February 1, 2019 through December 31st, 2021, and said previous appointments is hereby confirmed. Roll call, please.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yeah.
Counselor Moore?
Yes.
Appointment of a fair housing officer. Whereas the Office of Fair Housing and Equal Opportunity administers federal laws and establishes national policies to assure that all Americans have equal access to the housing of their choice. And whereas the City of Plattsburgh wishes to have an officer who will implement and enforce the Fair Housing Act. And whereas the mayor, on behalf of the City Council, recommends the appointment of Mark Hamilton as the Fair Housing Officer for the City of Plattsburgh, therefore be it resolved that Mark Hamilton be assigned to oversee that fair housing regulations are followed and act as the primary point of contact for all fair housing related issues, and be it further resolved that said officer shall serve so long as it is mutually agreeable to the parties, and be it further resolved that Mark Hamilton take an oath of office within 30 days of his appointment, and a copy of this resolution be given to the code inspector's officer, the city clerk's office, and the New York State Office for Community Renewal.
Moved by Councilor Armstrong, second by Councilor McFarland. Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
Yes.
Proposed resolution fixing the dates of all regular meetings of the Common Council to be held Thursdays at 5:30 p.m. in the Common Council chambers for the period January 1st, 2019 and terminating December 31st.
I'd like to make a resolution to waive the reading and move to, I'm sorry, I'd like to make a motion to waive the reading and move to resolution.
Moved by Councilor McFarland, second by Councilor Ensel. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Discussion on the item itself. Seeing none, roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
Yes.
Proposed resolution designated the Press Republican as the official newspaper of the City of Plattsburgh. Resolved that the Press Republican is hereby designated as the official newspaper of
I'd
the
like
City of
to
Plattsburgh.
make a motion to waive the reading and move the motion.
Moved by Councilor Armstrong, second by Councilor Ensel. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Discussion on the item itself. Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
Yes.
Proposed resolution designating the Clemens Falls National Bank Margaret Street Branch as the official depository for all City of Plattsburgh funds. Resolved that the Clemens Falls National Bank Margaret Street Branch be and are hereby designated as the official depository for all funds of the City of Plattsburgh for the calendar year 2019, the current year portion of their contract through September 2019.
Moved by Councilor Kelly and second by Councilor Gibbs. I'll note in my listed conflict of interest each year, I won't be participating in this discussion or voting. Discussion, please.
Jeff, how long is this contract for? It,
2019.
I know, but how long is the term, actually?
It's 5 years.
5-year contract?
Yeah.
See, I'm-
And it expires in September?
Yep.
So when do we anticipate the RFPs going out for?
Probably by June.
Does the purchase of this property affect this at all?
I would say no, there's a lease back provision in the purchase and sale agreement, so they'll be there for at least the beginning months of 2019. And it's my understanding they're moving to a very proximate location once they do vacate that parcel.
I thought I saw groundbreaking going on in the town, though, on Smithfield Boulevard.
That's a different branch,
Okay.
but we did get the first rent check for 2018 proration and for 19 for January. So they pay on time.
Further discussion? Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
Yes.
Proposed resolution adopting the present investment policy for the period January 1st, 2019, ending December 31st, 2019, unless otherwise amended. Resolved that the investment policy is recommended by the Office of the State Comptroller, establishing guidelines which comply with applicable state statutes, and as adopted at a regular meeting of the Common Council held December 10th, 1987, be and the same is to continue in effect for the period January 1st, 2019 through December 31st, 2019, as amended.
Moved by Councilor Armstrong, second by Councilor Ensel. Discussion? Does that limit our ability to reinvest our funds in other ways like money market or treasury strips or anything like that?
There are some restrictions, but certainly one of the things that we can do, which we've adopted a resolution for, is use in my class to move surplus funds. We get higher interest rates. We just have to get reorganized so we can do that this year. Interest rates are dramatically different, as opposed, 0.2% as opposed to 2%.
2%. And our fund balance, of course, we don't, as you know, aren't able to tap into them for things like the general fund, but we do maintain fund balances for MLD and act as a fiduciary for them, for the water and sewer funds, et cetera, for grant flow-throughs, all these kinds of things, that pot of money, if we could invest, say, $10 million and receive 2%, that's at least $200,000, which, as you know, when we're looking at some of the shortfalls here, that's just about the difference between our fund balance solvency and zero, right? So maybe we'll try and see if we
But those are all typically funds, like the water and sewer fund and fund that we can't use for our general operating, correct?
Right, would we be able to use the interest, or would they go back to the?
The interest is fund specific, but there's times during the year when the general fund has a lot of surplus cash for interest. You can see that one of the revenue items at the very top of this, the interest earned on our surplus cash balance in the general fund almost doubled from last year. That's because we had doubled cash throughout the year on an average basis. 2017, the average was $1.7 million on a monthly basis. 2018 was $3.4 million on a monthly basis. So the interest is almost double.
But, yeah, but we can't, I think as you said, Mayor, we can't take any of that general fund balance money and put it in like a treasury or.
Yeah, we
money.
can.
Oh, we can put it in.
And we can even retain some of that interest if it belongs, if that balance belonged in that fund in the first place.
All of our 29 bank accounts are pretty much demand deposit surplus and have zero interest earned because it requires to not earn interest. But certainly we can move surpluses for months at a time that we don't need the surplus for and earn 10 times the interest.
Okay, okay.
We did approve that last year. It's just a matter of us being able to get organized enough to move it.
Figure out how much we
Move it
want
this
to
year.
move.
Yeah, it's gonna take some coordination, cash planning and so forth, but we have the ability to do it, and NY class certainly has the interest rates to support moving the funds.
Okay.
Be 10 times what we earn right now.
Sure. Thank you. I misunderstood.
Any further discussion? Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
Yes.
Resolved that the rules for 2019 be and the same are hereby accepted and adopted by the Common Council as
I'll
follows.
make a motion to waive the reading and move to resolution.
Moved by Councilor McFarland, second by Councilor Ensel. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. As a point of discussion, our Rule 4, which we invoke once in a while, we did look at the charter and Rule 4 and how it's been used in the past, and I would like to stress that Rule 4 is to be used only when there's an issue of extreme timeliness. So I did strengthen that rule to say any resolution invoking Rule 4 shall include an explanation for its urgency and a statement on the financial repercussions of the subsequent resolution, if any, to the taxpayers. Again, these are things outlined in the charter. And in Rule 9, although I don't expect this would come up, I ask that the presiding officer of the Common Council may call for a roll call in random order if necessary.
Are there any other changes to any of the rules from last year that I didn't see any that I?
So, can you explain the logic behind number 9?
It's come up once in a while within this council that some people say, well, I'm in Ward 1 or Ward 6. I wish I was
on the
in Ward 6
line?
instead of Ward 1
Oh,
because I
okay.
have to always vote first or
Huh.
always get to vote 6th.
I like the
So,
way it is now. It's fine.
so I felt it would be a fairness issue. That everybody should have that luxury going first or last or in the
Okay.
middle at some point.
That won't drive you crazy, will it, Beth?
Where were we? That's why I said have the, May. Yeah. Any other further discussion?
No other changes, though?
Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
Yes.
Proposed resolution establishing the amount of a blanket bond or undertaking for city employees at $250,000 and for the city chamberlain at $500,000. Resolved that in accordance with the section C-2-5 of the city charter, as amended, the common council of the city of Plattsburgh, as authorized by section 11, paragraph 2 of the public officers law, consents and approves that a blanket bond or undertaking be procured for all city employees in the amount of $250,000 per loss for each position and $500,000 for the city chamberlain. Further resolved that the aforementioned bond or undertaking was executed for the period of 1 year from July 6, 2018 to July 6, 2019, and said bond or undertaking shall be written by an approved surety company.
Moved by Councilor Kelly, second by Councilor Armstrong. Discussion? Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
Yes.
Resolved that in accordance with section 6-15F of the city charter, the common council sets forth the
I'd like
composition.
to move to waive the reading and move the motion.
Moved by Councilor Armstrong, second by Councilor Ensel. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Discussion on resolution itself.
Who's nominating members for this committee?
You know, it's just our 3 people to sign.
The audit committee changes every week as whoever signs the bills.
That's right, okay. This is not a difference tonight.
Just like we were doing that last week. Any other discussion? Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
Yes.
We have a motion to adjourn. Moved by
So-
Councilor Moore, second by Councilor Kelly. Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
Yes.
We have all of 1 minute if you want to take a very brief adjournment.
You can block me.
The clerk's job is to notify other councilors if the council is going to be absent. So the councilors are supposed to call you and text you. So if you're not coming to the meeting, call. And then your job as clerk is to notify.
Anything else that goes So what's the purpose of having the
That's a really good question. We usually get the entire. For now, it's been in the charter for a long, long time. bailed out on I was.
All right, so, I'm on speaker.
That's all good stuff.
Yeah, all the necessities. I'm gonna take advantage of this break. I'll be back.
Hey, thank you. Thank you. It's gonna be a good year. Starting off well. We don't have time to read. I'd like to read it. Maybe not tonight.
You're welcome to tonight. We've got a pretty slack agenda for the first meeting. You want to do it during council reports?
It's kind of long. It doesn't really cover anything too controversial. Just talks about what you said about growth. And also about cutting expenses and the structural deficit, how we deal with it.
That's perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, the game.
You've already signed this one.
Mike wanted you to sign something, but I don't remember what it was.
It was the accounts payable and warrant.
Oh, yeah, I already did. How are you? What's that? I think I was voluntold. Is this what I'm signing now?
Yeah.
So, typically though,
Budget officer, is that just part of the financing?
You know, I was gonna warn a little bit.
Right.
So if you don't mind,
Oh, I signed something else. One more thing.
okay, Michelle just signed these.
Yep.
Okay, you sign that.
Oh, you want me to send this one?
Yeah.
You want to keep them all together?
Sign this one.
Sometimes we try to get here a little early.
Okay.
4:30. You certainly don't have to be first to business every time.
We try to,
Well, let's begin our very first common council meeting of 2019 with the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Reed.
Not in random order, you can.
Thank you. Mayor Reed.
Present.
Counselor Armstrong.
Here.
Counselor Kelly.
Here.
Counselor Gibbs.
Here.
Counselor Ensel.
Here.
Counselor McFarland.
Yeah.
Counselor Moore.
here,
I'd like to just begin with a couple of comments. First of all, to welcome the new faces to the council tonight. This is always very exciting, and very much looking forward to the upcoming year. And I really want to thank you for your willingness to serve. And you all know that it comes with a fair amount of sacrifices, and we don't compensate you all that well, but I really appreciate the sacrifice to a public service. And many of you, all of you know some of the challenges we're facing, and even the new councilors tonight voiced their concerns in our working sessions and our committee meetings. So I know you recognize some of the challenges we're trying to deal with, and maybe face bigger challenges than I believe any of the municipal leaders in this area. Cities are very tough places in this country right now, especially small rural cities. The large cities are thriving, but small rural cities in the north certainly has our problems. You read about New York State depopulating, and much of that is in rural America, as our kids naturally are drawn to the big cities. And our job now is to not consider ourselves a legacy city, but a city where we can get back our young people. And you know, a lot of the work that Matt Miller and his office is doing, and all you are doing to maintain our facilities are here really designed to make this an attractive place for people to live. We have the obligation, because of our city status, really the only city in 100 miles in New York State, to maintain a police force, because this is where a lot of people concentrate. To maintain a fire department that's unique, a paid fire department, because we've got such density of construction in the city. We can't afford a fire to simply take out one house, because for us to take out one house means to take out a whole neighborhood. And so we need to make some of these investments that are pretty unique in our area. We also attract through our low-income housing. You passed the housing director position again tonight. We attract, I believe the housing officer said that 8% of our housing in the city of Plattsburgh is low-income housing that he administers, one of the highest ratios in the state of New York. So we've got that challenge. Of course, the hospital and the university, and are also things we very much value. The churches, and because of the history of the large landholdings of the churches, these are all off the tax base and are essentially supported by the other 68% or 62% of the property owners that then have to pay the burden for the entire city. So understand, you know, and know all the obligations and realities associated with these very unique challenges. And you've probably heard me say that and I know you're all cognizant of the tax burden, the fear of hitting that tipping point where as taxes rise, it makes people less willing to live in our great city. Councilor Unsel's used the term, we don't want to see moving trucks leaving from the city of Plattsburgh going somewhere else. And because if our city were to shrink, that burden is just spread amongst fewer and fewer people, increasing the tax burden. I think you've all seen a chart that we once produced showing that as our property tax base tends to decline, our property tax rate tends to rise over the years. So I know you're very cognizant of that as well. Our work is certainly cut out for us. We use the term sustainability a lot. Councilor Armstrong, as a matter of fact, just started up a committee on sustainability. That doesn't include just environmental sustainability, but I know we all think about fiscal sustainability at all times as well. And I want to also close tonight by saying that we also, all of us, every one of our councilors shares the concern about getting our kids to and from high school safely. And you know that's been in the news an awful lot. I do want to report that I have very good reason to believe that those discussions will really proceed immediately and be accelerated. And I'm very confident we're going to come up with a solution that's going to be embraced and accepted by all stakeholders. Sometimes some of those difficult conversations are best held in private, but they will proceed very, very quickly. I think we'll have good news to report relatively soon on that front. There's an awful lot of different ideas to explore, and everything's on the table. That's all my comments for tonight. Thank you.
Resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of the Common Council held on December 20th, 2018 are approved and placed on file among the public records of the city clerk's office.
Moved by Councilor Ensel, second by Councilor Armstrong. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
Resolved that the payrolls of the various departments of the city of Plattsburgh for the weeks ending December 26, 2018 in the amount of $552,741.26, and January 2nd, 2019 in the amount of $459,327.03 are authorized and allowed, and the mayor and the city clerk are hereby empowered and directed to sign warrants drawn on the city chamberlain for the payment thereof.
Moved by Councilor Kelly and second by Councilor Gibbs. Any discussion? Roll call?
Councilor Armstrong?
Yes.
Councilor Kelly?
Yes.
Councilor Gibbs?
Yes.
Councilor Ensel?
Yes.
Councilor McFarland?
Yes.
Councilor Moore?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Chris, I'm not all in favor, opposed. Reports, city offices and committee reports. You've seen some of them in your packet. Let us go around. I think we've only got one active committee that's actually met this year, but I'll begin with the governance strategy and city operations. Councilor, well, we defer to Councilor Armstrong for the, Armstrong's doing it again this week, so please, Councilor Armstrong.
Oh, well, we met and basically moved items into the agenda, some appointments to the parking committee. They will appear later in the agenda. Authorizing the retainer for an agreement with an architectural and engineering firm. And we spoke to Chamberlain Marks regarding the final budget adjustments and transfers for 2018. We also discussed the PrimeLink contract that we hope that we can investigate alternatives to, and Mike Kelly updated us on the progress of that, his committee that he served on with Josh so far. And you can catch it on tape.
The bridge.
Pardon me?
The bridge. We discussed the bridge.
And we discussed the
Discussed
bridge. Yes, well, that was in the reports that we just approved. The veto.
Thank you. City infrastructure, past Councilor Ensel, can you bring us up to speed on any recent developments?
I have no report, but the committee will be meeting next week, I believe.
Thank you. Finance and budget, Councilor Kelly.
Somewhat related to finance and budget, of course, is tomorrow we have a budget hearing at noon. And of course, all councilors are invited and encouraged to participate. I appreciate everything that everyone's thinking about. We've had a lot of discussion about that among ourselves, and we will have some more discussion tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to it. I hope everyone else is too.
I will be here, but I will be here about 2:30.
That's fine. We'll take all the help we can get. Thank you.
Public safety, Councilor Dowdle is no longer with us. And Councilor Gibson, I don't tell you have a report for us quite yet.
Nothing to report at this time.
Any other members like to speak on the work of public safety?
Look forward to working with public safety.
Plattsburgh Public Library, Councilor Armstrong.
Yeah, the meeting of the board is the third week of the month, so Councilor Ensel.
What
you
day
and
of the
I-
week?
Wednesday.
Tuesday, 4:30.
Tuesday, 4:30?
Yeah. We can discuss how to manage that, because
Yeah,
I
'cause
believe we can take turns.
Okay, because I'm going to be close with classes.
Yeah.
MLD Board President, Councilor McFarland.
No updates at this time.
Resolved, the reports as listed are hereby ordered received, and any written reports are placed on file among the public records of the city clerk's office. Moved by Councilor Winslow, second by Councilor Kelly. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. No correspondence or recommendations from boards at this time. Please continue.
Resolved that the bills ordered by the common council for the weeks ending December 28, 2018, in the amount of $3,439,132.29, and January 4th, 2019, in the amount of $327,316.04, are authorized and allowed, and the mayor and the city clerk are hereby authorized and directed to sign warrants drawn on the city chamberlain for the payment thereof.
Moved by Councilor Kelly, second by Councilor Gibbs. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passed. This is now an opportunity for any of the members of the public to please come and address the council on issues that are on the agenda tonight. You can get an agenda just outside if you don't already have one. Please come forward. State your name and your address. And there's a 5-minute time limit.
Okay. My name is Grace Redmond. I go to Plattsburgh City High School. You brought up the footbridge and how it was an ongoing issue, and I agree. Just a few weeks ago, it was said that council passed a deal to fix the footbridge, and I really appreciated that until it got vetoed. I rely every single day I used to rely on that footbridge to get to and from school, to get to and from places to town, and to and from work, sometimes even in the dark and cold. It's also been an issue with transportation. Though I am able-bodied and able to walk, sometimes the climate prevents me from doing so. And in that, the school has graciously offered the public transportation system to us. But the hours are sadly not convenient for us as high schoolers and are more revolved around the times of when college is in session. I was just wondering when this issue is going to be further addressed and further resolved.
I suspect we're going to have some very fruitful discussions in the very near future, next couple of weeks.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment on issues that are on the agenda tonight?
Can only be on the agenda tonight?
There's another public comment period at the end of the meeting for other issues as well. Seeing none, let's continue, please.
Adoption of local law P-1 of 2019, council override of tax cap. Resolved, the local law authorizing common council to adopt a 2019 tax levy in excess of the limit established by New York State General Municipal Law, Section 3-C. The local law shall take effect immediately upon approval by the mayor and filing with the New York Secretary of State, the entire text of which has been distributed to and read by the members of the common council is hereby enacted without the reading thereof, and a copy of said local law is made part of the minutes of this meeting.
Moved by Councilor Kelly, second by Councilor Ensel. Discussion?
Yes, I have some questions. So I've received some emails from constituents regarding this. What exactly is this tax cap going to be? It says, to adopt a 2019 levy in excess of the limit established. So what will that be?
From what I recall, and the Chamberlain can confirm, the tax cap levy calculation changes each year. It's a formula that we're given. I think our overall tax levy can increase by, 2.84% this year? 2.86?
Yes.
And
Above that, this resolution has to be adopted by a 2/3 majority?
Supermajority.
So is this typical for this time of year? Every year you?
It is, and of that 2.86%, our tax base this year grew somewhat, somewhere around 0.54%. So we take that 2.86%, take off 0.54%, and that allows a mill rate increase of somewhere around 2.2 or 2.3% that we can't go over. without having an announcement of a local law 2 weeks ago and then passing a local law today. We don't know if we'll go over it. The goal of this council for the last 6 months was to have a tax increase at just a little bit under 2%, but to allow the ability to exceed that if we can't find the savings necessary to incorporate some of the things we've discussed already earlier today. This gives you the latitude to be able to go over that.
Okay, so it
but
gives
not
us the permission to
obligation.
do it, but we may not use it. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay. Can you explain to me, like, an assessed value of a home, what kind of effect that would have? So, let's say my home is assessed at $150,000, what kind of change would I be looking at?
A 2% increase on approximately a $12 mill rate would be what, about 25 cents? So that'd be 25 cents for every $1,000 of value. So the average home in Plattsburgh is worth about $150,000. So that'll work out to just under a $40 tax increase at 2%, $80 at 4%, etc.
Thank you.
And keep in mind that when our taxpayers see their tax bill, the most prominent aspect of that tax bill, because all the cameras that often come to city council meetings, is the city portion, but it's not by any means the largest part of it. As a matter of fact, the city tax bill represents probably only about 35% or 40% of the total tax bill people receive. So the other parts of their tax bill is not going up, just the city portion. But still, it's a legitimate concern because people are fearful that if city taxes rise, gives greater latitude for school taxes to rise, et cetera, as well. So.
But also, kind of a trickle-down effect of that is anyone who has an escrow account, because of the minimum required balance, you go up $40 or $80, your minimum balance goes up even more than that. So the impact is even greater on the taxpayer because of the minimum required in the escrow accounts.
And we're very cognizant of where our tax rate is with similar communities. I know Councilor Gibbs has asked me for some information on comparable communities recently. We also benchmark ourselves with how other communities are doing, because we recognize that people have the discretion of whether they're going to move to one jurisdiction or another, and we want to make sure we remain competitive. And we know New York State taxes are high for all the cities, and Plattsburgh is high amongst New York State, so we're all very cognizant of that and certainly share the concerns that your neighbors have been speaking of.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
Yes.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore the Common Council approves that the Common Council authorizes the mayor to sign a professional services agreement with Architectural and Design Engineering Associates, PC, for various engineering and survey services. The agreement requires a $2,000 retainer with future invoices based on time and materials at the hourly rate attached to the
Moved by Councilor Ensel, second by Councilor Gibbs. Discussion? Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
Yes.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore the Common Council approves final budget adjustment transfers for the 2018 fiscal year as noted in the
Didn't we
submitted detailed entry.
decide to table this until tomorrow?
I think given that these are actually, I should get a first and a second first before we discuss. Councilor Armstrong and Councilor Kelly, discussion? I think these are, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chamberlain, these are basically accounting adjustments at this point on expenditures that have already occurred in the past. So my recommendation would be to accept these essentially journal entries. They're not going to affect your work in the budgeting for 2019, unless you believe there's any discretion in any of them.
These are budget adjustments for 2018 for lines that are over budget. You have to appropriate the expense to stay within the budget requirements. One of the questions that came up was contract services in the fire department. Memory serves me now that increase of $64,000 is because of that increase, their billing is about 5,000 to 6,000 a month, so it's 64,000 over, so it fits. But we also have to look at, if the ambulance revenue went up commensurate with that cost. So you should balance the two of those, and you're thinking with ambulance revenue versus tuition paid out. Came to mind.
Any further discussion? Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
Yes.
Clinton County Legislature selects Rodney Brown to serve a 2-year term on the Plattsburgh Parking Advisory Committee to begin on January 1st, 2019, and expiring December 31st, 2020. Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
Yes.
The Governance Strategy and City Operations Committee on the Common Council selects Ethan Vincent to serve a 2-year term on the Plattsburgh Parking Advisory Committee to begin on January 1st, 2019 and expiring December 31st, 2020. Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
Yes.
No travel requests at this time. Are there any resolutions for initial consideration? Any new business and council reports?
Yes, I'll bring up, we
Councilman
just put 2 more people on the parking advisory committee. It's my understanding that that's probably enough to put a quorum in, which means they should be meeting in 2 weeks, within 2 weeks.
Within 2 weeks.
One of the people that will be put on the council or on that committee is a member of the council. I think we should discuss that and probably put forth someone next week so that the member of the council that's on the committee can take place or can participate in the first
Initial
committee
meeting.
meeting, yes.
Good idea.
Thank
Good
you.
idea. Is there anybody that's expressing an interest that you can mull over the next week?
We're all clamoring for a spot.
Well, please think about it. Any other council reports?
I wrote something today that I'd like to share with my fellow councilors, if you'll indulge me.
How can you read that handwriting?
He writes in Southern.
It's gonna take a long time because I talk really slow. No, it won't take very
As
long.
long as it doesn't start with y'all.
January 2019 should be a time of great reflection for the citizens of our beautiful little city. January is, in every year, is always a hopeful time as we watch the days increase in length and as we begin to get a little more sunshine back in our lives with each day. Even the bitter cold in January is easier to take with sunshine on our faces. January 2019 is no different in that regard. Already we've had a couple sunny days and some fresh snow to brighten up the landscape. People in Plattsburgh know about winter and how to survive. If you go downtown on any wintry night, you will find people enjoying good food, beverages, and good company in droves. There is nothing cold and wintry to be found in any of those establishments on a Friday night. Go over to South Platte Park and watch kids of all ages sled down Plattsburgh's favorite hill, Fox Hill. Watch people skating in city parks and other people cross-country skiing on various trails. Observe how everyone stays warm in their homes, but we see very little smoke coming out of chimneys, thanks to our MLD. Our streets and parks are well lit and safe. A few scenes like these tell you that you're in some place special, Plattsburgh, New York. January is always an exciting time for our city council. This year we welcome our newest members, Elizabeth Gibbs, Patrick McFarland, and Jeff Moore. Thank you, new members, for joining us. And thank you, Rochelle Armstrong and Peter Ensel, for returning for another year of service. We all know the challenges. For the new year, we find ourselves continuing a structural deficit that has existed for at least a decade. I personally have served on a council under 3 mayors, and each of them has struggled in his own way with the fact that the city has far less revenue each year than expenses. To his credit, Mayor Reed has asked us to try a different approach. We attack the structural deficit by restructuring the city. Departments were eliminated and consolidated. This saved the taxpayers several $100,000, but it may not be enough. Here, at the start of 2019, we are proud to say that we have eliminated, or at least minimized, several of the city's long-term liabilities, including expired labor contracts. This, of course, pleases our city's labor force while making future spending more predictable. There is a cost, however. Each of these expired contracts, as each one is settled, will cost the city large sums of money. This is a legacy that must never be repeated. Mayor Reed has vowed in his term to bring all union contracts current. Let us hope that this noble goal can be achieved with a minimum of taxpayer expense. The mayor, councilors, and city chamberlain will meet tomorrow in a special marathon budget session to hopefully finalize the 2019 budget. To deliver a balanced budget that also delivers value to our taxpayers, we must find significant cost-cutting measures that can be implemented now. I have asked my fellow councilors for ideas for reducing expenses with the license to say that no good idea is off the table. Every item can be discussed for its relative value. Already several ideas have been floated by our councilors. Here are some examples. Hiring freeze and forced reductions by attrition, retirement incentives, curb fees for non-taxable properties, across-the-board cuts for every city department. Those are just a few examples. There are many more. The other thing that Mayor Reed has done that is a departure from the past is to aggressively pursue growth as a way to attack the structural deficit. Additional taxable properties equals additional revenue. Successful municipalities grow taxable properties by about 2% per year. The city of Plattsburgh hovers below 1% taxable property growth per year. I would encourage my fellow city councilors to get behind any and all endeavors to grow taxable properties, including the DRI and its offshoots, and smart annexation when it makes economic sense for our entire region. 2019 does not have to be another chapter in the slow but steady decline of our city. Conversely, 2019 can be the start of new and great things for our city as we learn together how to shape a new city based on fiscal discipline, innovation, and maybe some never yet tried approaches to governance. We look to our city departments to join us in this quest for excellence. We invite our taxpayers to pay close attention and come up with their own ideas to save our city. Let's make it happen in 2019, City of Plattsburgh. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you, Mike.
Mike?
I would like to recognize the individuals who put together the DRI presentation that I went to late December. The Sun community did a very nice report out of the presentation, and I was able to attend. It was very thorough, it was very clear. It really outlined all of the steps along the way, and I was so thankful that I went there. Councilor Moore also attended. And I just thought, good work needs to be recognized, and you and Tara, Ethan, did a great job. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Any other council reports? This is an opportunity for the public to please come forward and address the council on any issue of mutual concern. Please.
I apologize and thank you for your time again. I'm Grace Redmond once more. I just had a question about one of the things that was resolved during this meeting. You said in this meeting that it would be authorized for you to sign a professional services agreement with Architectural and Design Engineering Associates. You were also mentioning that you were soon to be planning out the budget, and I was wondering where the bridge, even fixing part of the bridge, would come into play with accordance to that.
Normally these aren't question and answer periods, merely comment periods, but I can get together with you after the meeting and discuss that.
All right, perfect, thank you.
Good evening, my name's Chris Gillen. I'm not a resident of the city, I live in Peru, but I've been paying attention to the topic of the footbridge, and I just wanted to come down and encourage you guys to really consider the impact your decision will have. You know, like she said, she goes to school, she takes a footbridge every day. I know a lot of people that use it, and you know, with New York and our school is often underfunded and teachers having to pay out of pocket for supplies, I think to place that burden, you know, at their feet, if it's for them to fix it, I mean, I think it says a lot about our leadership if that were to be the case. And with your veto, you cited the conflicts of interest, but you have no problem sitting on the board of Glens Falls National Bank and watching it be purchased by the city of Plattsburgh for our brick and mortar fantasy that we're going to have some big, beautiful multi-use office building and all these businesses are going to come back. When we know that the future is taking us and we're going to use technology, shoppers are going to purchase things more and more online. So I think for you to cite that as one of the reasons is pretty, you know, hypocritical of you, and that you should really, really consider the impact that this footbridge and how much it means to this community and what it does for the people in the community. Because a lot of the people in the south side of the city, I'm not going to say they all are, but there's a lot of lower income families, and you know, they can't all afford to get on a bus, they can't all afford to take a cab. So, I mean, this decision is very important, and I think it says a lot more about our leadership if they're willing to do the right thing than if they are worried about the profits and, you know, the costs. Because at the end of the day, this is what taxes are for. So I strongly encourage you all to really consider your decision wholeheartedly. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Any other individuals like to please come address the council?
I'm Luke Cyphers. I live on US Oval and am here for the footbridge. I really appreciate people coming in and speaking to the issue. It affects a lot of people, and I'm just going to go over some points that I made to the prior council in an email last year, just to give some ideas on what the bridge means to this community. And for one thing, there are about 50 families, according to this Board of Ed, 50 PHS students approximately who use it. That's 10% of the student body. And I have not heard a lot of their voices being used. Beyond that, there's really an untold number of other users. Recreational users, people commuting to work, to get to jobs, who rely on it. And they're kind of a quiet group that's not always represented and not always heard, but I think that's really important. Another thing, when we're talking about businesses and real estate, there are a lot of rental properties on that side of the river that you use for student rentals and other rentals, and that is a vital transportation link for people, particularly college students who are getting across the river. Biggest thing though is just an aesthetic thing. To me, you have to have a city that's worth living in, a place worth caring about. And I believe that little footbridge really makes a nice scenic walk. It's a clean way to get around, and it's a way to get people in touch with where they actually live. So I want you to consider all those things, but mostly I want you to consider just the citizens here who need it, use it, and maybe they don't have the most money or the biggest lobby all the time. They're young people too. They don't vote, but they really need this bridge. And then one last thing on this, the use is not just for students. If you look at county numbers, they have clickers on who uses the Saranac River Trail. There is an equal number of users on weekends. So that tells us a lot of recreational users are getting back and forth using that bridge to get to the trail and use it. When you take this bridge away, like we have, and our city has fallen down on the job here, we've taken it away from people for more than a year now, you take away all those connections. So I really encourage you to solve this thing. Maybe go to the school board meeting tonight hear what they have to say as well. And keep this in the public debate. I don't think private conversations are the best way to solve these problems. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kevin Sabrin, 64 Club Road. I think kind of like what people's frustration is over with the footbridge and how like all of a sudden it's become like a issue and it's on the tips of different people's tongues and like everybody's talking about it everywhere I go. It doesn't matter who you are, whether age, whatever. I mean, basically what I can tell is people want the thing there. And so we're living here in this community, and when you're out walking around, getting from point A to point B, being a pedestrian in this town, and you're standing here, and you see the tens of millions of dollars coming into this airport, and there's airplanes flying down to service people not from here, you know, which is cool, we need them here. You see money for all of that. You see $10 million over here to build a building. You see money to be able to go over here and like get the thought of an idea of to do something. And yet all we're asking for, and it's like it's, you know, whether people use the footbridge, don't use the footbridge, I'm not even concerned with that, but I think the frustration is that people see there's tons of money to go to some of these huge things. But I've been a pedestrian and walked my feet as my car through every inch of this town, like many other people have here. And so when you see money flowing all around you, and there's not enough to like just take care of this one little thing that's like a nice like thing that we have, you know, I think that's kind of how it's like come to be an issue. It's not even about the bridge. It's about the bridge, yes, you know, because people do use it and people need it. But it's more, it's a symbol of something. It's a symbol of like, can I walk from point A to point B? Like we don't ask for much as pedestrians. You know, we're not driving cars, we're not utilizing the roadways, we're not asking for anything other than a thing to walk across. In Plattsburgh, I've woken up in streets and everywhere all across this Northeast, and one of the things that Plattsburgh has is sidewalks and a way for people to walk places. And that's like a very unique thing, because a lot of communities you can't walk from one part to another and be on a sidewalk and be part of like safe and getting to where you're going. So I think that's kind of what the frustration is. People see money, it's flowing all around us, and yet like it seems like we're just begging for some table scraps. You know, is really what it seems at the end of the day. It's just a nice place to walk. But I know. Anyway.
Thank you.
Any other individuals like to please come and address the council? Seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn? Moved by Councilor Ansel, second by Councilor Kelly. Roll call.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs?
Yes.
Counselor Ansel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
Yes.
Thank you, folks.
All right. Guess we'll be working together. Hi.
I want to say congratulations first of all. Second of all, can you sign this one? It's for
Yes, absolutely. You look just like your mom.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Sure.
Hi.
Where would you like me to sign?
For the same reasons, one of your flags here. So you need me to sign somewhere here. Right here? Do you need my title or?
Very entertaining.
Sure.